Malaysia, home to some of the most dense and treacherous jungles on the continent. These jungles contain some of the most diverse animal species on the planet, but due to the growing human population, animals and people are now forced into regular contact with one another. I'm just off the coast of mainland Malaysia, on the island of Penang, to try and unlock a legend surrounding one of its most bizarre temples and the venomous inhabitants that live there. I'm in search of the temple viper. On the outside, this place looks just like any other Chinese temple. But it's not until you get inside you realise exactly why it's called the Snake Temple. This is why I came to Penang. This is the snake I came to see. This is the temple viper. They're also known as the Waggler's pit viper, but it's because of this temple these snakes adopted the name the temple viper. Some theories suggest it's the incense burning that keep these snakes in an almost hypnotized state, which is why they are so docile. So this garden area is home to about 200 vipers, who according to the legend come here on their own accord because the surrounding jungle was being developed. And they've taken up residency in this garden and inside the temple, and they've been there for the last 150 years. Everywhere I look, there's dozens of sleeping vipers. But they're not just isolated to the garden area or the temple. You can also find them in rather unusual places. So it looks like the vipers aren't just limited to the garden area and the temple. They're actually all over the grounds. We've just seen this little guy behind these bits of concrete, just chilling out, getting some sun. And they're placid as. It's amazing. The more time I spend at this temple, the more I wonder, is there some truth behind this legend? Did these snakes come here on their own accord? So they've actually let me hold a temple viper and assured me that they are still indeed venomous and contain their venom glands and their fangs. But being this close to one and seeing it in person, you can see how breathtakingly beautiful they actually are. And pictures you see online and in books don't do them any justice. Being this close to such a docile viper, which in nature are very temperamental snakes, it's just an amazing experience. So it seems the population of viper in the temple are doing great. Now it's time for me to head into the jungle and see if I can find some of these vipers in the wild. I'm heading to the Penang National Park to try and find a wild temple viper. Being in a national park that's protected from human development, I'd expect to find high populations of temple viper and other animals. So hopefully we can find the viper and evidence that other animals live here. I'll be hiking for 3 days, starting at the middle of the national park and making my way to the coast. This will give me some insight as to how the snake populations are doing in a protected area. I can hear running water down this cave, and when there's caves there's snakes, so I'm just gonna go check that out. So it looks like the water is running in this direction, which means the mouth of the cave is just over this hill. And I'm going to have a look and see what's inside. So the mouth of the cave is down there, and I need to somehow descend down this really steep hillside. So I'm going to give it a go. Well, I'm down. Oh, geez. So, this is the mouth of the cave that we're looking for, and the water's running straight out of it, so it looks like it runs straight through the middle of the cave. So let's go inside. Snakes love caves, especially if there's bats living in them. So I'm going to check out the cave, see the water, where it's coming from. That'll give us a good chance to see which direction we need to go in next, and also if there's any bats for snake food. If I can follow the direction of the water coming from the cave, it'll most likely lead me to the coast. Most caves stay the same temperature all year round, and if this temperature is warm, then it's ideal for snakes. Just searching these crevices of these caves, because often snakes will curl up in a tight little corner and wait for bats which are coming in and out of this cave mouth. We'll just reach out and grab them and swallow them. So there should be some, hopefully, curled up amongst these rocks. Is that a snake? I think it's a branch. No, it's a branch. We've hit a dead end, and the oxygen's running low and finding it hard to breathe, so I can still hear the water flowing from behind this rock, but we can't get past it and it's getting low on oxygen, so we're going to have to turn around, head back out the cave. It's really beneficial searching at the top of a hill, because you're eye level with the canopy, so you can see right through the top of the trees where the viper will most likely be. What most people don't realise is that a large percent of organisms actually live in the canopy, and they'll spend their entire lives in the trees without ever touching the ground, and this includes the temple viper. After a 2-day trek, I managed to find a river that took me out of the jungle and onto the coast. 90% of people live on the coast, and it wasn't long until I met some of the locals. So these guys are the long-tailed macaques, also known as crab-eating macaques, and they're really common throughout Southeast Asia. And they've adapted really well to the growing human populations here in Malaysia. If you look all around this place, there's junk, there's trash, there's shoes, there's sunglasses that they've stolen from people that have come to this national park. As I was just about to say, these monkeys are very territorial. Because these macaques have the ability to adapt so well, their populations are on the rise, especially here in the national park. I've just come across some animal tracks, which can only be a large monitor lizard, and I can tell it's large because the footprints in the sand are about as big as my hand, and the drag prints from its tail are about this thick. So the tracks lead up into the mangroves, and we're going to follow the tracks and see what I can find. Hopefully a huge monitor lizard. So the tracks come all the way along here into the water, and along the shallow bank of the water, all the way along here, and into this mangrove, just around the bend here. Water monitors will often comb the beach, looking for dead marine animals which have washed up on the shore. So following the tracks out the mangrove. This is what we've been tracking. This is the water monitor, Varanus salvator, one of the biggest monitor lizards in the world. They're really common throughout Southeast Asia, and they get to about 2.5 meters long and very heavy. And they have massive talons and big serrated teeth, almost like a great white shark's. And that saliva is full of bacteria and full of what's recently been discovered as venom. They actually do contain venom glands. Our monitor lizards are very smart. They're probably the smartest of the reptiles as well. He's sort of settled down a bit. Thank you for that, mate. Let's let this big guy go, eh? Off you go, big guy. I'm out of the national park and in the city to gather some supplies. From here, I'm going to continue my search in the more dense and untouched parts of the jungle. I've convinced the taxi driver to take me as far into the jungle as the car can go. He says it's at least a 3-day hike back to civilization. Perfect. So this is as far as the taxi can take us into the jungle. Now it's all by foot from now on. So we've got to head into the jungle and make our way back to civilization. I'm searching for vipers in untouched and unprotected wilderness. If I can find vipers in this jungle, then it may be possible that the jungle which used to surround the snake temple also contained populations of viper. I'm trying to make my way back to civilization while looking for vipers along the way. But after hours of trekking, exhaustion sets in. Walking through the jungle is like walking through one big sauna. It could take you half a day just to walk 1 kilometer. It's still, there's no wind, and it's about 100% humidity. And it's absolutely exhausting. Temple vipers are arboreal, which means they live in trees. So our best bet in finding a temple viper is to search the canopy. But at the end of the day, we're looking for a little green snake in a big green jungle. Awesome. See what I said about animals living in treetops? This is another example of an arboreal animal. This dragon lizard would spend the majority of his life up in the treetops, eating off the insects that live in the trees. He'll occasionally come down to the floor and rummage amongst the leaf litter for some food, but the majority of its life will be up in the canopy. Beautiful lizard. And they've adapted so well to living in trees. I can already see just from holding him, he's changed colour. And they go a darker colour when they're upset. And he looks pretty upset, so we'll let him go. started to get dark. It's just started pouring down with rain. So I found a nice shelter under this rock, and this is where I'm going to be spending the night. It had been raining all night, and by the time morning came, it was still pouring down. However, this gave me a chance to see some of the animals which come out during these rains. This is a spiky hill turtle found in Penang, and they're a pretty rare turtle, and it's the rain that brings them out, and it is pouring down. Spiny turtles are omnivorous. However, most of their diet consists of fruit and plant material. These are semi-aquatic turtles. However, most of their time is spent on land foraging for food. But what a beautiful animal. Look at the underbelly. This part's called the plastron, and this part is called the carapace. Now, they're not a tortoise, because tortoises have very elephantine feet. These guys have clawed feet. And tortoises are herbivorous as well. These guys aren't. But they are just the cutest little turtles. We'll let him on his way. I'm getting drenched. Now that the rain is cleared, I can start making some progress through the forest.
This is so hot. In the jungle, it's like a greenhouse. The humidity is ridiculous. It's like walking on a big compost heap. But we need to move forward and look for some animals.
Most of the plants in this forest contain teeth, spikes, or something that can hurt you. You need to be prepared to bleed. Searching the treetops is still my best chance at finding a temple viper. However, most of the trees in this jungle do not allow you to climb them, as there is not enough branches to get you high enough. This method is also very energy consuming and uses lots of valuable time.
Just searching the canopy, looking for vipers. They should be curled up in the branch on top of leaves, but their camouflage is amazing. So it's going to be pretty hard. I'm going to have to look in a fair few trees.
Climbing trees consumes too much time and effort, and I need to conserve all the energy I can, so I'm going to stick to searching from the ground. Surprisingly, this method pays off.
Oh, viper, viper. Yes, it's a temple viper. Oh, look at that. Oh, we found one. It's a wild temple viper in the jungle. I'm going to get him off. Out of this tree. Come on, mate. Oh, look at him. What a beautiful snake. Come on. Come on. Taylor, look at that.
This is what we've come to Penang to see. This is why we spent 7 days in the jungle. To look for a wild temple viper, and we found one. And this guy's a younger one, so he's more a vibrant green colour. When they get bigger, their colours will change completely. And you see how hard it is to find one of these guys? Imagine seeing one in the canopy. It would be near enough invisible. Whoa. And he's very curious, that's why his tongue's flicking in and out. He's checking me out. And like I said, these are venomous, and they do have big fangs. But he is stunning. Look at him. So it seems their populations are doing all right.
I mean, this is still the first snake, but considering how hard they are to see, I was only a couple of feet away from him when I saw him. I nearly put my hand on him. So, they are here, they are in the jungle, and they are an amazing snake. We'll put him back in the tree. Right where he was. See, they're nocturnal snakes, so he's pretty sleepy. At night, he'll probably be striking at me. Much more active at night. I'm absolutely stoked I managed to find a wild temple viper out in the jungles. But now, it's a 2-day hike back to civilization, and it's about to get dark. The sun's going down, so it's time for me to find somewhere to sleep for the night. I was wondering when I'd come across one of these. This is the infamous pitcher plant. Pitcher plants are carnivorous, and they're found throughout the highlands of Penang. This is Nepenthes albo marginata, which is the most common species in Penang. And what happens is, this modified leaf, insects will come, ants and other insects, and fall into these cups and then be eaten by the digestive juices in the plant. But these plants are also called monkey cups because they hold water, and monkeys can often be seen drinking out of them. The pitcher plants get quite big. Some of them can hold 2 liters of water and have been found to have rats inside them digesting by them. And because it's such a small plant, in a big rainforest where not much sunlight penetrates, they've had to adapt to little sunlight. So they get their nutrients from other animals. They're being digested in these cups. An amazing adaptation, and they're a beautiful plant. I only have about an hour of daytime left, and I need to find shelter fast. Finding somewhere to sleep at night will be near enough impossible. So I've just set up camp over there, and there's a game trail that runs down through here. So I'm going to set up a motion sensitive camera that films in night vision, and hopefully we can film any of the night critters that come close to the camp while I'm sleeping. Temple vipers are predominantly nocturnal, so I decided to do some spotlighting around the camp. You really have to inspect every branch, because even with the torch you can still miss them. Their camouflage is that good. More than 3/4 of Malaysia's wildlife is nocturnal. The next morning brought a very unexpected surprise. So I just woke up and checked the camera trap. We got nothing on the camera trap, but when I was coming back to get my bag, I noticed this guy sitting right outside the entrance of the cave where I was just sleeping. He must have been there all night, and I've walked straight past him. It's a baby temple viper. He's tiny. He's only maybe a week or 2 old, And look how different the markings are to the ones that are older. He's pretty much completely green with a few little strikes of red and white, which will fade the older he gets. But look at the camouflage. I've been at this cave for about 10 hours, sleeping, coming in and out, and I've walked straight past him each time. Look at how beautiful he is. Tiny little snake.
Baby temple vipers will wiggle their tail as a lure to attract small lizards and frogs. Once the prey is lured into the snake's striking range, it can now take this opportunity to subdue and collect its meal.
Another temple viper in the rainforests of Penang. Amazing.
As I'm fastly approaching civilization, this is going to be my last day in this jungle. My goal was to find temple vipers in the wild, and I managed to find 2. However, I can't help but think back to the snake temple. My mission was to answer the question, why are these snakes here? It became clear after finding the vipers in the unprotected jungle instead of the national park. This jungle, although unprotected, was mostly untouched and unexplored, opposed to the national park, which was highly tainted by human interference. It seems the vipers' safest refuge from the destruction of their jungle was this temple, and through the generations they have successfully colonized their own population, with the help from the temple's monks. I was very pleased and surprised to find that Malaysia still has a massive amount of natural jungle still intact, and on the island of Penang, over 7% of the island is still dense jungle. This may not sound like a big number, but considering Penang's large human population, 7% is a pretty impressive figure.
There's a path. There's a hiking trail that runs all the way through here, and it's heading north as well, towards the coast. And it's on the coast where you expect to find civilization. So it seems some of the legends of the Snake Temple are true, but there's also an air of mystery that still surrounds it. But one thing's for sure, it's the jungle of Penang. That's the real temple of the Viper.